I crashed my boyfriend's car, and now he wants revenge, by cheating on me. I never imagined that a simple mistake could unravel my life in the way it did. It all started one ordinary Friday evening. I was 24, and my boyfriend Jake and I had been together for almost 2 years. We had a solid relationship, or so I thought. We were both in grad school, balancing our busy schedules and trying to make the most of our time together. Jake had always been understanding and patient with me, but everything changed after one fateful night. Jake's car was his pride and joy, a sleek, black sports car that he had saved up for years to buy. It was more than just a vehicle to him, it was a symbol of his hard work and success. I knew how much it meant to him and always tried to be careful around it. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. That Friday, Jake had an important presentation the next day and needed to work late into the night at the library. I offered to drive his car to the grocery store to pick up some snacks for us to share during our study session. It was supposed to be a quick errand, nothing that could go wrong. I pulled out of our apartment complex, the car's engine purring smoothly. I was feeling a bit too confident, enjoying the way the car handled. I turned onto a side street, eager to get to the store quickly. Unfortunately, my distraction got the best of me. I was fiddling with the radio when I missed a stop sign. Before I knew it, I was skidding through an intersection and colliding with another vehicle. The impact was jarring. I sat there for a moment, stunned, trying to process what had just happened. I could see the damage to Jake's car, crumpled fenders, a shattered headlight, and a twisted bumper. The other car, an old sedan, had significant damage as well, and the driver was visibly upset. I called 911 and the insurance company while trying to reassure the other driver and exchange information. My hands were shaking, and my heart was racing. I knew this was going to be a big deal. When I finally managed to call Jake, he was calm but clearly concerned. He told me to stay at the scene and wait for him. Jake arrived about an hour later, looking every bit as devastated as I felt. He surveyed the damage and handled the situation with the other driver, who was surprisingly understanding. After everything was sorted out, Jake drove us home, his silence punctuated only by the occasional sigh. I felt awful. The accident was entirely my fault, and I knew the cost of repairs and the insurance claims were going to be significant. I expected Jake to be upset, but what happened next was beyond anything I could have anticipated. The following week, Jake seemed distant. He was preoccupied with the car repairs and the insurance process, and he barely spoke to me outside of necessary conversations. I tried to apologize repeatedly, but he brushed it off, saying it was just a car and that he would get over it. I wanted to make things right, so I offered to help with the costs and anything else he needed, but he declined my offers. One evening, while Jake was working late again, I decided to surprise him by preparing his favorite dinner. I wanted to show him that I was truly sorry and that I was committed to making things better. When I arrived at his apartment, I noticed that his door was slightly ajar. I hesitated for a moment but then pushed it open, thinking he might be busy and not hear the doorbell. What I saw when I walked in shattered me. Jake was in the middle of a passionate embrace with another woman. They were so engrossed in each other that they didn't notice me at first. I stood there, paralyzed with shock and disbelief. The world seemed to spin around me as the realization sank in. This was more than just a minor issue, it was a complete betrayal. I don't remember much of the next few minutes. I fled from the apartment, tears streaming down my face. I called my best friend, Rachel, who rushed over to pick me up. I spent the night at her place, feeling like my world had been ripped apart. The next day, Jake called me repeatedly, but I couldn't bring myself to answer. When I finally did, I was met with a barrage of apologies and explanations. He claimed it was a moment of weakness and that he was overwhelmed with everything going on. He admitted that he had been feeling distant and unappreciated, and that the other woman was someone he had met through work who had been providing him with emotional support. Jake said he wanted to make things right and was willing to do whatever it took to fix our relationship. He assured me that the affair was over and that he was committed to working through our problems. He wanted to meet and talk things over. I agreed to meet with him, but I was still reeling from the shock. When we sat down, Jake seemed genuinely remorseful. He apologized profusely and promised to be more open and communicative in the future. He also agreed to go to couples therapy with me to address the underlying issues in our relationship. He explained that his reaction to the car accident, his feelings of resentment, and the subsequent infidelity were all intertwined, and he was committed to resolving them. Despite his apologies, I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. The trust between us had been deeply damaged, and I found it difficult to move past the hurt. The image of Jake with someone else kept replaying in my mind, and it was a constant reminder of how fragile our relationship had become. As we began couples therapy, it became clear that there were deeper issues at play. Jake admitted that he had been struggling with feelings of inadequacy and stress related to his work and personal life. He had been bottling up his emotions and found solace in the attention he received from someone else. The affair was a misguided attempt to cope with his feelings, but it had only compounded the problems in our relationship. Therapy sessions were intense and emotional. We both had to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our relationship. Jake worked on rebuilding my trust by being more transparent and communicative. He made a conscious effort to address the issues that had driven a wedge between us. He took responsibility for his actions and committed to showing me through his actions that he was serious about making things right. I struggled with the decision to stay or leave. The accident had been a catalyst for the breakdown in our relationship, but it wasn't the root cause of the problems. I had to consider whether we could truly overcome the betrayal and rebuild our relationship, or if it was better to part ways and move on separately. After several months of therapy and honest conversations, we reached a point where we both felt we had made significant progress. Jake had shown through his actions that he was committed to change, and I had begun to see glimpses of the person I had fallen in love with. However, the road to recovery was far from smooth. There were still moments of doubt and hurt, but we were working through them together. I decided to give our relationship another chance, not because I thought it would be easy, but because I believed in the possibility of healing and growth. We continued with therapy and made an effort to address the issues that had plagued our relationship. It was a slow and challenging process, but we both understood that rebuilding trust and repairing our bond would take time and effort. In the end, the experience taught me a lot about resilience, forgiveness, and the complexities of relationships. It also highlighted the importance of communication and honesty in any partnership. While we were not out of the woods yet, I hope that with continued effort and commitment, we could find a way to rebuild our relationship and emerge stronger from the experience. As I look back on everything that happened, I am reminded of the fragility of trust and the need for constant effort in a relationship. The crash and the subsequent betrayal were devastating, but they also served as a wake-up call, forcing both Jake and me to confront our issues and work towards a healthier and more honest partnership. If anyone has faced a similar situation or has advice on how to navigate the aftermath of betrayal and repair a relationship, I would appreciate your insights. This has been one of the most challenging times of my life, and I'm seeking guidance on how to move forward and rebuild a meaningful connection with my partner.